In chapter 7, verse 104 of the Qur'an, it's mentioning Pharaoh as a ruler in the time of Moses, peace be upon him. But in chapter 12, verse 50, in the time of Joseph, peace be upon him, the ruler is called the king. So here's what makes it interesting. Moses, peace be upon him, lived around 13th century BCE, and Joseph, peace be upon him, lived about 17th century BCE. How do we know this? Through historians analyzing archaeology and religious scriptures. And this way, we also learn about the ancient kingdom periods of Egypt, which I mentioned in the previous video. The link is up here. Check it out after this if you haven't already. So, periods of ancient Egypt kingdoms specifically. This is the timeline of old Egypt kingdoms. But what concerns us is these two. Middle Kingdom, the time Joseph, peace be upon him, lived, and the New Kingdom, when Moses, peace be upon him, lived. What's surprising, but actually not surprising, is that these two time periods use different titles for the rulers. The word Pharaoh is originated from the word PR, top comma 3, which refers to the meaning great house. At first, this title was used for the palace. Then after 1500 BCE, it began to be commonly used as a title for the Egypt's rulers. This made it official in the time of the New Kingdom. Before that, the rulers were simply called kings next to other names. And the Qur'an correctly addresses those rulers in the time of Joseph and Moses, peace be upon them, referring to them as king and pharaoh while mentioning them according to their time, even though the beliefs and practices of ancient Egypt kingdoms were already lost from the public around 30 BCE, much before the Qur'an was revealed. More information in the link above. This shows a great historical detail from the Qur'an, revealing an information that wasn't known at that time, because you shall now see the evidence. This was not the case for the Bible. In the Bible it says, when Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian. This verse in Exodus says that it was Pharaoh in the time of Moses, which is correct. Next verse. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Here the Bible also mentions a Pharaoh. However, there were no pharaohs in the time of Joseph, peace be upon him, as it was 100 years too early. Or even before Joseph. The Bible also mentions Abraham. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abraham to his men. Even when we compare these three verses of Bible in Hebrew, of the words mentioning Pharaoh side by side, once again we see the Bible uses the same title when referring to the ruler of the time of Moses, as well as in the times of Joseph and Abraham, peace be upon them. This video isn't made to show a historical mistake in the Bible. Rather, it's to lay out a textual wisdom in the Quran from Allah. Because honestly, many of you Muslims and me read this chapter in the Quran and say, oh, cool, Moses, peace be upon him, is debating the Pharaoh right now, and the Pharaoh is getting cooked. Oh, cool, the king is summoning Prophet Joseph, peace be upon him. This gonna get good. The point is, there's a lack of looking at details. Quran is the words of Allah, and Allah is independent of time. This is one of the historical miracles of the Quran, that even the text written before got them wrong.